Hi, my name is Mary Wingo, and I am talking to you from this little obscure town in Ecuador called Biblian. It's a Indian town, sort of in the middle of nowhere. Well, it's not really in the middle of nowhere, but I'm here, the city park, with I don't know what river this is. But there's a river and a city park, and you see these trees behind me. And I thought I'd come here, just kind of, it's a Sunday morning, I just thought I'd just kind of come over here and, maybe take a nap. But instead of taking a nap, I thought I would make a video for you today. So today, we're going to talk about some of what I believe to be components of human reality. Okay, we as organisms or humans, we'll just refer to us as humans. As humans, we basically have two different realities that we have to work with as we go through our lives and we adapt to things. Number one is, do we have the wherewithal, do we have the power, do we have the ability to change the environment when we need to adapt? Or that's state number one. So, do you have the ability to change the environment, when you're pressed to do so? That's state number one. State number two is when state number one is not possible, what we have, can we change ourselves? Actually, materially change ourselves in order to fit the environment. And so it's very important to keep these in mind, because there are biological cascades that represent each different type of state. Now, for us humans, and for most mammals, but especially for us humans, the part of us that helps us change the environment to fit us, that's this part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. Very, very sensitive part of the brain, and it does have receptors for the stress hormone cortisol. And basically, it's got two sets of receptors. It's called mineralocorticoid receptors, but don't worry about that. It's got a type of receptor that when you're under, say, moderate or minimal stress, it basically activates the brain in order to go into problem-solving mode, okay? But then, if you're really stressing out, the organism's under stress, if the human's under stress, you've got this other set of glucocorticoid receptors that knock the prefrontal cortex basically offline. So, I've got let me get into the importance of this. So when we need to adjust, if something happens in the environment and we have to adjust, one way we could use our prefrontal cortex is to make clothes if we're cold, build shelter, protect us from the elements, you name it. I mean, there's all kinds of ways we sculpt the environment in order to fit us. Everything that you see that's engineering, everything that is indicative of modern and primitive civilizations, well, you can thank the prefrontal cortex for that, which again, it's a glitchy glitchy part of your brain. It's got its pros, it's got its cons. Carrying a type of organ that facilitates what's called working memory, which is kind of like a post-it note. It's kind of a temporary sort of workspace in order to get your work on this earth done. And it's very, very sensitive to stress. So we have that. And then we have what I consider very interesting. When we can't change the environment, then we have to change ourselves if we're going to adapt. Okay, so it's either adapt or die, right? So we have to change ourselves to fit the environment. Let me give an example here. So say you're at sea level. Say you're at the beach, and then you know, which is possible in Ecuador. Okay, and then a few hours later, you're up around 8, 9, 10, 11,000 feet, maybe higher, maybe 15,000 feet, depending on where you're going. Now, as you know, I mean, the difference between sea level and like 9, 10,000 feet is a lot. And a lot of people get altitude sickness, but that's beside the point. We have to, if we're going to live in a high altitude and we're coming from a low altitude, we have to change our bodies to fit the environment. For example, we have to create red blood cells. We have to change the way our respiratory system reacts. The air is thinner. We have to change ourselves in order to fit the new barometric pressures. I mean, it really is. It's a lot different living at a very high altitude than at a lower altitude. But I mean, that's just one example. I mean, everybody has to do it. I mean, it's not like you can really buy your way out of it. You can't be a rich kid and hire somebody else to adjust to the environment for you. It's something that you have to do yourselves. Look, some good examples of this is, how about like when we're athletic, when we train. Okay? Well, that's an example of us changing ourselves to, do whatever. When we're students, scholars, and we study, or maybe we're not students, we're just people just trying to get by. We're learning a new language in a foreign land. Okay? We're changing ourselves to fit the environment. Do you see the difference there? And so with that, that's where, again, the stress response, again, all the way from the higher level centers, your cerebral cortex, your limbic lobe, and your more ancient so-called reptilian brainstem area. And what that does is it tells us your switching station. You've got like this relay switching center deep in your brain. It's in the proximity where the hypothalamus connects to the pituitary. It's a nexus from where the brain actually connects up to the chemistry and the physiology of the body. Okay? So you've got sort of the somatic, what we consider body, connecting up to the so-called abstract, which is, our maybe not so higher level thinking, but in theory, higher level thinking. And so basically, we have a mechanism that makes us more plastic, makes us more elastic. Okay? And here's the catch. This is what the stress response is all about. The stress response is it's not about threats per se. It can include threats. Everyone always thinks of, arguments, stress at work, traffic, a bear chasing. Well, yes, that definitely includes what stress is. But what stress is, okay, so take out your pencil and write this, please. Pen and paper right now. Okay, stress is simply adjustment. Okay, it's the rate of adjustment an organism, or you could say cellular level, you could say tissue level, organ system level. So any part of the organism, or the ecology of the organism. But we'll just say organism. It is the adjustment, the rate of adjustment that the organism undergoes in order to adapt and adjust to a particular environment. Okay, so, I mean, this is simple. Stress has been very, very difficult to define in the past. And the father of stress, Hans Selye, oh, bless his heart. I mean, I've read all of his stuff multiple times, and he could just never, I mean, he knew what it was. He described all this physiology and all this philosophical pontification, I mean, behind what stress, but he could just never quite define it. And I have seen some ridiculous definitions of stress. Well, that is the definition of stress. And that's very easy to remember. So, yeah, can threats, can a bear chasing you in a park in Ecuador, can that be stressful? Absolutely. But it's more the adjustment, okay? Think of it. If we're basically like machines, there's only so much adaptation energy. That's what Hans Selye called it. Energy that we're born with that gives us the wherewithal to adjust to the environment. It's not infinite, okay? There's just only so many cell divisions, a particular organ system, maybe none, like the heart, most of the nervous system. But there's only so many cell divisions that a particular organ system will undergo before it's just poked out. I mean, so, if you keep injuring yourself and injuring yourself and injuring yourself, then that's the rate of adjustment goes up, and you use your adaptation energy, your ability to adjust and be plastic and grow and do all kinds of things. So it's limited. It's not infinite. It's very expensive. Necessary part of life. Without the ability to adjust to the environment, we quickly die, and very quickly too. It's the ability to remain plastic and to remain flexible to the environment is part of being what we consider an optimal health. But you just can't be putting the pedal to the metal all the time. Stress, historically, it is only supposed to be episodic. So yes, you're chased by the bear, and then it's over, and then you can forget about the bear, and you can go back to, doing whatever you were doing. Most of our lives is intended to be spent laid back. So, this is what adaptation is. Okay, it's either changing the environment to fit us or to fit us into the environment. Oh, there's so much more. There's so much more, and there's so much more. I'll just leave it at that. I'll just make another video. But it's getting delicious, isn't it? This is something that you can really, really relate to on a fundamental level. So, stay tuned. I will make more videos. Have a great Sunday.